Hello adventurers and welcome to another video. I will be making this a quick announcement, but then also talking about some main topic points that I think are really important to AFK Journey and what's coming soon. And so without further ado, I will say I will be quitting AFK Journey. And this is not a full quit in the sense that I won't be coming back to this game, but I do want to say that this is something that's kind of been building up over the past couple of weeks, and now we are sitting at 55 total logins. And what I want to do is I want to show you my account, where I'm at, and then what are the reasons why I think most people will quit this game. So without further ado, let's jump into my account so you can look at it, scrutinize it, kind of form your opinions however you want to. I really don't care what you think as far as if I've done it the best way or not the best way. But I want to draw the conclusions that, you know, if it's going to sift out some of the people who simply just look at a surface level and go, okay, this is why you quit, then so be it. But I want to appeal to the reasonable people here who will see it and go, okay, I can see with your account that this is not something that's user caused, but something that maybe the game has caused over time. So as you can see, 55 total logins. I have gotten lucky a few times and have pulled some decent celestials along this line. Can't say this has been super eventful in the past, I don't know, the past while, you know. I'd say it stopped getting interesting after I stopped getting copies of heroes, to be honest. But you know, it is what it is. It's not the only area you can get heroes, but that's just how that's set up. Here's my resonating haul. I can put some of my best ones on top for those of you who want to see it. I actually just got Corin up here today, so he's just barely up there. I haven't really ascended him just because outside of Dream Realm, I don't get to use them a whole bunch, and also I'm totally out of the stones, so the title essences. So that, and you know, I mean, I would have to supplement him to get him to Supreme, but what's the point? You know, like maybe I should wait. So I'm holding off for now, but as is, you know, if you want to talk about order, I got Cassidy first. Second one I got was Odie, thankfully, and then it was I think it was Cecia, Coco, and then Sylvina. Some of them varying usefulness. I mean, Cassidy has a lot of usefulness in Dream Realm, but that's my setup currently. These are my other mythics that I've gotten into here, and of course, some of these are Supreme. No Supreme pluses yet, so I haven't been lucky enough, but a couple of EX weapons in a bit of a higher level, which is nice. Some learning experiences got along the way. I will assure you that my Cassidy was almost all entirely pure luck, and I just kept on pulling her. So that's just kind of the way it went. It wasn't a priority thing, it's just the way it went. Artifacts and equipment, it's all pretty standard for where I'm at. Guilds, level 6 guilds. I do participate this in every chance I get. I will say I get varying degrees of usefulness when I do play this. Usually these bosses, I maybe get a couple of % off, but I do clear some of the easy battle drills, which are, that's just how I participate best I can. And then guild store, I mean, I usually buy out my stellar crystals first. Guild store, I buy whatever I need. Right now I'm actually needing blue ones as well because I'm getting more characters up to Mythic Plus, but haven't really spent a whole bunch in the arena. I do the arena frequently to try to increase my ranking. Something that a lot of people say is like, you know, like you're simply pulling the wrong characters for it, or you need to focus on one thing or another. We'll talk more about that later, but I do vary between Legendary 2, sometimes Legendary 3. I haven't really been able to get is it Legendary 3 that's next? I don't want to say wrong. Yeah, Legendary 3. But not really able to get above that. Usually the people I'm facing are about like 500k. I rarely get something below that. But just too difficult for me to cross most times, but I still do attempt it. Supreme Arena, same thing. I mean, I'm able to push to like the higher levels of 1000, maybe like the 1700 if I'm super lucky. But it rarely stays that way. It's usually right around 2000. Legend Trial, of course, I do participate in it regularly, especially on days like this. I usually am able to progress 4 to 5 levels each time I'm like deficit pushing. AFK stages, I haven't done them in a second, but usually if I'm only crossing like 4 or 5 stages, I won't push for these. I'll usually wait a second just because there's no point to just like endlessly push. And then with the auto progress thing, I just even less so. Like I just push for those. But AFK stage 279, that meaning I haven't been able to unlock the Duros trials yet to experience that portion yet. But it's been a bit tough. And I hate to say the reason why I'm quitting is because of these spiders, but it's kind of the reason. If you look at my AFK stages currently, where I'm at is as you can see, it's not a crazy deficit here. When I was the monster I just faced, it was actually it might be a little bit higher than this, but lately these have been like I've been getting relatively high pushes, and as you can see, 23,000 to 37k, or 37.331k. So with that, like the deficit pushing can be a bit relentless sometimes, and I understand you don't have to do this if you're playing casually, but I have been sort of stuck in this area where it's like I'm getting constantly pushed back on you're deficit pushing too far, or I can't do it far enough. And for those of you concerned about teams, my main meta comps that I push for, I'll show you that I push with. Team 1 is usually a Brutus, Entendre, Odie, and then I put Smokey Mirki, and I mean these are out of order, but it doesn't matter really. And last one being, geez, where am I looking right now? Okay, Coco. Where's Coco? Wherever Coco is. Right now I can't find her. I'm literally blind. All right, so that's usually my main team. I just 5-stack Maulers. I would do Shaker if he was a bit higher. That way he can get his Lupine aura, but he's just not right now. I do have him wishlisted if that's your concern. So is Kruger as well, for Dream Realm. But that's my main team that I push with. It works very well. Sometimes I can just put Odie in the back, and that helps me push extra stages insanely well, because he can just nuke certain characters. But team 2 is usually Thorin, and then I put in Cecia, and I put in my guy, the guy I never thought would be useful, Viperian, into the mix. I forgot his name, that's why I did that. And Rowan, and then Hewin as well. That's usually my team 2. Basically get these 2's ultimates powered up, and then the double support is usually pretty great. Now I can swap out characters in this case. Sometimes I will swap these out for an additional character. Maybe swap out Viperian for Slavina if I'm trying to nuke a back row. It just depends on the scenario, or even like just if I'm trying to still get that buff, I can swap out a support. That usually works out pretty well. And then I have a team 3 as well. It usually involves using Granny, and then Aaron, Arden, Parissa. I would love to use Coraline, but she's not always viable for me, considering my Coraline, yes, is still sitting at a pretty low level, despite being wishlisted, etc. And then yeah, I could put in Hewin in here. Sometimes I don't, but it just depends on what I'm looking at. Sometimes I'll just do Damien if that's enough, and then 5-stack that. So with those teams, I typically push, and now I want it to be well known as well. Of course, characters like Rainier get swapped in. Of course, characters like Temesia can get swapped in. So a lot of these characters can be swapped in, swapped out. Like for example, with Cecia, Florabelle, we all know the combos with that. So that's the team and teams I've been pushing with. I know there's beneficial situations in which I could put in different characters. That's not really what I'm trying to get about. I'm just trying to give you a preview of what my account looks like and the things I typically do. Top 35%, 40% is what I typically run with. I typically run I run a few different comps. For this one specifically, this is the one I run, for better or for worse. I have tried a few variations in which I use Corrin and in which I use other characters, but this is the one I mainly use for this specific one. I could go through what I use for every single one, but I follow the same meta guides that everyone else does with these, and I try a few different variations. As you can see here, I've done this 3 times, so I try different formations each single time to try to get a bit better. I was barely crossing, so as you can see, 82%, so I'm not going to hit that 90%. It's just not going to happen. So that's what I'm looking at, and that's the last you'll see a bit of my account. What is the main thing I want to talk about here, and basically why I'll eventually be quitting? And I want to asterisk that with a bit of, if new content comes out, I do want to try it out, and I do want to talk about it, and I still will do that, but I think I'm going to continue playing this casually. I have been deficit pushing and playing this a little bit harder, more and more, but I want to be honest in that this has been something that I think is not something that is my fault particularly, or I just think it's the way the game is organized and the way the game is played by most people. I think that not enough is changing, and not enough is like visibly like on the horizons is going to be changed in the future. But that being said, I still enjoy the game so much that I don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to cut it out entirely from my my gaming library. I just want to come back to it when stuff seems interesting, try it out, catch up to the content that the level of the content that I need to be, and then go from there. So I want to be honest that, you know I'm not the best player. I know there's a lot of things that I could be doing better, but that's not my area of concern. I'm just not having as much fun in the game that I think that the game would want you to have. And if this is the natural course of the game to eventually weed out the players who aren't going to commit a lot of hours, because it does take a lot of hours to actually do this, then I want to be honest about here's the reasons why most people are quitting AFK Journey, and why the situation for AFK Journey, I think, will lead to most people quitting, at least the casual fan base, and leading to the eventual death of the game, in my opinion. So I want to be optimistic, but this is the unoptimistic video. If you want to comment all the things about, why I'm wrong, then so be it, and I, like I said before in my other videos, I still want to be helpful and help people clear content if I can. So if there's anything I can do to help you clear content and help you get a little bit further in the game, then I will offer any knowledge, if at all, that I have to help you clear content. So so please join us on stream and join us on Discord as well. If you're somebody who would like maybe to get past a hurdle that you're struggling with, or if you would like some advice, I would like to give as much advice that I possibly can. So what are the main 10 reasons that people quit? The first one that I'll mention, the arguments, is that people say is you should just play casually. To make a meaningful story progress, I think deficit pushing is almost required, if not required. I'm at an AFK stage currently, as you saw before, that the main story enemy is at a level where I am facing relatively high characters unless I wait basically a week of just random AFK and awards gathering to catch up. And this is kind of the natural progression of things. It's like you either push the meta to deficit push and get further into game, but you get roadblocked by something that you cannot deficit push, or you simply play casually to so slow of a pace that you're basically moving at a zero pace for an extended period of time. So I think that the casual play is just simply not enjoyable enough to make significant progress or to be fun in the game, and it requires more active engagement where you're committing 5, 6, 7+ hours daily into the game in order to make progress beyond dailies. Because dailies, if you're doing dailies and weeklies, it basically doesn't give you enough to make that meaningful progress. You have to commit more time, simply put, because arenas and honor duel and some of those weeklies require an hour plus in order to do. So if you're doing things like honor duel, you're going to be spending an hour, probably more. There's no way to speed run that effectively, or auto do it. So it's like it's a fun game mode, but you're spending a lot of time doing this. Secondly, the game is competitive. That's something I've been told a lot, is like the game is competitive and it's not meant for casuals. The arguments, I think, is I understand where people are coming from, that the game is competitive. The longer I play this game, the more I understand it is competitive, to a degree. But for me, when only the top 100, maybe some extended a bit further, when only like the top 100 spots are rewarded, really the game's not competitive. I hate to break it to you, but like if you're not in the top 100, you're not playing competitively, because you're not competing at a level where you're being rewarded. So in reality, what are we rewarding? The only top 1% of the players. So that's not competitive. So what about the rest, the other 99% of the gameplay, or the player base? So they're not being rewarded. They're not playing competitively because you're not ranking. Then you're getting what out of it? You're not getting rewarded extra. So in my opinion, I don't think the game is competitive. I think the game is competitive for the top percentage of whales, and everyone else is just not getting anything from it. So you could say, oh, well, different ranks, you get different rewards. But in reality, if the top brackets of rewards are so starkly different from the bottom ranking of those brackets, then you're not really ranking competitively. So it's not really, that's like playing quick play versus ranked. So the competitive aspect is limited to so much to high ranking players that the majority of the players still need to enjoy the game. And so I don't feel like it's that way currently. Additionally, the third point is AFK Journey is just like Arena. Like this should have been, I should have known this. I should have seen this beforehand. I've looked into some of the reviews of AFK Arena because I hadn't played it myself. But even in AFK Arena, the difference in between idle and active gameplay is very small, in that playing actively in the game doesn't contribute to a lot of higher gains. And you could say, well, it's because it's a gacha, but explain then, with AFK Journey still being a gacha game, that the difference between idle and like your minimal gameplay versus your active gameplay being so starkly different. And then at the same time, AFK Arena had things like using the mystical house. Is it the mystical house? The mystical house, to where you can house your players and give them additional benefits. You could play mini games, and you could play story to improve your artifacts. And in the same area where you're still putting, I guess, the gameplay route is almost the same as it is in AFK Journey. So it's almost like we've lost gameplay aspects. We've lost key things that could improve the game, meaning playing story and doing events which actually contribute to the benefit of your character library that you have, and still saying that it's like Arena. I think it's almost been stripped from the benefits that Arena did best. So that's my third point on that. Fourth point, if you play into the meta, you can succeed, is the constant the constant argument I hear, where it's like, if you play the meta, you'll succeed. Now, I've been playing the meta as soon as I could learn it, but it is ever evolving, and metas change, and I understand that. But it's so I want to say this is partially true, but I think that it ignores that the game has so many usable characters. I mean, in reality, I mean, if I'm thinking about my personal library of characters, I think the majority of them that I have are usable in most scenarios. I think I maybe have a handful of A levels and some S levels that are just not usable in most situations. They do have uses, but they're just not usable in most situations. If none, you know, I mean, like our familiars, we love them, but they're just not useful. I think that while this is true partially, I think that success in the game requires you not only contribute to the meta, but also that you play metas only in certain game modes. So at that point, we're just dancing with how much meta we're playing, or we're contributing into, or we're saving up for, to the game modes that we are playing. So it's even more narrow and narrow and narrow and narrow, and it keeps on narrowing that the amount of characters we can invest into, that people start to get to this point where they have this false delusion of, because they've overcome that with either days played or money spent, that it's not a problem. So fifth, and this is the one that I know a lot of people, if you're this far, you probably already cooked up in your mind, which is just don't play the game. Don't play the game anymore. My argument is that I enjoy the game. I do want to continue playing, but if the game continues this way, I think that I'll only stick around for seasonal gameplay to see what's changed, to see what's improved. I think that this mentality, though, by the player base, is what contributes to the game's financial issues, and why we've seen less and less and less people playing this game. If you look at Twitch as a streaming base, there's almost no one playing this game, and yet gachas are in the stratosphere of what is possibly come to the Twitch space. Games are succeeding in the Twitch space, but AFK Journey can't seem to get anything into there longer than someone being sponsored. So what's this disconnect? So I feel like the just don't play, like don't play this game, it's like, you're right, but a lot of people already have, and it's clearly visible with the player base shrinking, participation shrinking within guilds, and you're wondering why the financial success is going down, or has been going down for months now. So it's a bit of a counter argument against itself, but that's another one I hear that it's like it just kind of avoids the issue entirely. The other thing I hear, and this kind of goes in line with the metas, is is just plan it out. Like plan it out from the beginning and you won't have these issues. I think that honestly, you can't base your ideas based off of people planning it out, because casual fan bases, casual players are essential to fill the fan base. Without them, the niche becomes too narrow and doesn't become appealing to people. And so my counterpoint to that is that casuals are vital to a game's longevity and the community, to the point where you can't have whales sticking to a game unless you have casuals. So I think you have to have a game that is approachable by casuals, so you can mold casuals into more hardcore fan bases and mold them into pairs eventually. If you do not have a casual friendly game, and I hate to break it to people, AFK Journey is not a casual friendly game, because you can play it casually. Because you can play it, you could play a game casual. You can play any game casually. I could play Dark Souls or Elden Ring casually, but I can also play Elden Ring casually and beat it casually by playing a mage build or a caster build or a summons build. The difference is in AFK Journey, you cannot do the same. And my counter argument to what everyone is about to say is 150, 100 plus gameplay days in order to get there is not casual. Is simply is not. By that point, you are no longer a casual. I hate to break it to you. The other thing, another point, so this point number 7 is casuals are a liability to guilds. This is one I heard recently in a comment of mine, which I don't refute what they said. I actually did agree with a lot of their points. This is one of many comments that I received. But casuals are a liability to guilds, and I will once again agree. At a certain point, casuals become a liability to guilds when you're considering max participation and trying to rank, because someone who is a casual simply isn't going to be able to contribute enough to the game. Now, there are modes within guilds where you can do the battle drills that are on easy, and you can contribute in small ways and get your rewards. I usually get to like level 2, level 3, even if I contribute every single day, because there is energy limits to those things. But even still, I'm not able to contribute to the bosses. I will say that you still need casuals in order to contribute to guilds, because you don't want your high-ranking players to defeat the small battle drills, the easy battle drills. You want the casuals to kill the small things. That way, your greater players can spend their energy more usefully. Simply put, it's better to have a casual than it is to have nobody. And when you have guilds that are reporting more and more, less and less participation, then I think a casual is exactly what you need. And it should be incentivized for a casual to play. If not, a casual should get more rewards and more options to play, so they can be more incentivized to participate in a guild. And it makes ranking more exciting, because then you have usefulness coming from all ranks. Then you can say we have the numbers versus your participation, or we have the numbers and participation versus your ranking. It adds something to it, where it's like everyone plays a part. So that would be my argument against that. Number 8, commit, they say. Commit to only the meta units. And this kind of goes along with what I was saying, is if you play into the meta, you'll succeed. But additionally, I think that there are many characters that fit into the meta, but I think what people are missing is that min-maxing and prioritizing those characters is difficult. When most game modes, you need at least 3 teams to participate in to get rewards from. So like if you're considering the new game mode, Crystal Clash, you need 3 teams there. When you consider Supreme Arena, you need 3 teams there. If you're considering Arena, you need at least 2 decent teams to work with. And then you need at least, I would say 2+. You need your swappable characters, like your Rainier. So I would argue that you need minimum 2, but probably up to like, I would say 3+, where it's 3 solid teams and then swappable characters like your Rainiers, your rogues that you swap into to nuke back the back rows. You simply need too many characters to be like, oh, well, just commit to only the meta. There's so many characters that are actually meta because there are a lot of good characters in the game. So it's like, yes, you can contribute to just one meta team, but you typically need more. So by that point, you're investing into so many things that it's like, well, I guess I should invest into the best first ones that I get, I guess, but sometimes the cards just don't play out that way. And at a certain point, you need more characters invested into. So point number 9, how would you like to see the game is simply not how it is. It's just how you want the game to be is not how it is. And that's not going to change. My argument against that is that trying to change what can't be changed is what I'm doing as a content creator and why I think content creators matter within the space. Not just to tell you some meta guide of how you should set up your teams. I think I'm not going to bash content creators who create guides, but simply put, it doesn't offer anything to the greater like end point of the game to be like, here's the best comps these work with, and here's the ones they're not good against. Like, here's the descriptions of these, and here's how they'll work really well. Establishing metas is important, and I'm on the edge of being an anti-meta person, but I think it's more important as a content creator that influence in this space is used to make positive effects within the game. And here's the other thing. These games make millions of dollars a month. It is not impossible for them to change lines of code to make the game good. And it's like, oh, they're struggling. They're doing hard. Woe is the multi-million-dollar company who's been seeding off whales to make their game profit massively and then squeezing everybody dry of every penny they got because they have this sunk cost fallacy mindset where it's, I can't leave this game because I've put too much money, I've put too much time into it. It's not impossible to make a change in a game. I think it requires a collective effort. It's not something I can do on my own as a small creator, but it's something that we can do together. And it's something that has been done in the past, but I think we pull back and we go, hey, we don't like this in the game, and we get pittance of rewards, and then people are satisfied. Look, they listened. We listened. They listened to us. And in reality, nothing for the greater good is being changed because we accept what's barely being given. And my last point is the game simply doesn't force you to make it your main game. And you're right, it doesn't. But true playing of AFK Journey requires hours of commitment to make progress. And I have been in a stage where I've been, if I spent money, I could overcome it. But otherwise, it's going to take me 3 days of grinding because I would deficit push, and then all of a sudden I'm brick walled. And you could blame me for deficit pushing. I don't know what to say. I'm playing too hard. I'm playing not hard enough. And at a certain point, it's lacking enjoyment. It's no longer fun. I'm getting barely any progress, or I wait a while and I don't play the game as much. I just do barely anything and everything catches up. But then I go, well, since I didn't play enough during the games, I wasn't getting the diamonds I needed because I didn't do as much arena, or I didn't do as much stages as I could have because I was just doing the bare minimum. I think other gacha games are successful because you can complete these tasks quickly, get the rewards of what you need, and you can put it to the side and be like, I've done my progress for today and I played. And they're fun because of that, because you don't have to commit these massive amount of hours in order to get payout. And I think that's where AFK Journey is lacking the most. So if you're looking at these 10 points, if you made it this far, I really do appreciate you getting this far. If you've agreed with any of these, I beckon you, I urge you to see these not as an argument of I think that the player base is wrong entirely. I think the player base is been almost tricked into this delusion of this is the way things are and there's nothing we can do about it. I want to see this game succeed. I want to come back into this game and see this game succeeds. I will still, like I said, put in the hours to get my dailies done and stuff like that. But I don't think it's in a good state right now where the reality of it is that this game is moving in a successful direction. I think that the proof is in the analytics, and the analytics are saying that things are going down, not up. And so that being said, I really do appreciate everyone who has been supportive of the channel during this time. I really do hope to start playing some new gacha games in this new free time that I will be having. I do want to try out games like Zenless Zone Zero. I have been playing Wuthering Waves, but not as much in the past few bits because I have been making a lot of content recently. So like I said, if this has resonated with you in any sort of way and you agree, then share it, like it, you know, subscribe to the page, and make sure this sees the eyes of somebody who matters. And I know this is going on a while. It's like a 30-minute video. But like I said, I really do appreciate everyone has been supportive of the page. And I hope this has, resonated with you in some way. And yeah, no, I don't have much else to say, but I really do appreciate it. So without further ado, as per always, may fortune favor your journey, and I'll see you in the next one.